This is the Disruptive Voices of the Pacific, yet again for another episode that is disrupting those taboo topics. And today our topic is healing after abuse. We have done many episodes hearing a variety of women and men talk about their stories, but it is so important that we get healing and we just don't stop at sharing our stories. It's vital. Now, if I broke my leg, I would go straight to the hospital because I want to heal that, because it is going to inhibit my future, my ability to move, to act like a human. And it's the same with abuse. Even though there's not a physical trauma, there's a spiritual, there's a social, there's a mental, and it will impact our future and our ability to move and act as a human being. So that's what we're going to be talking today. And I've got two of my good friends, Amelia and Sera. Hello.
Hi.
Good to have you here. They've come straight from work and a busy day. And sat on the couch here in Nakasi, and going to hear a bit of your story, Amelia, and then Sera, who has a passion to bring healing to those who have been abused. So Amelia, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Amelia. I'm 27 years old. I'm currently pursuing my master's at Fiji National University. I'm from Vanuatu and share maternal link to Vanuatu.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And you're single?
Yes.
Yes. So we've got the single ladies on the sofa today. Another one, Sera, what do you do?
Hi, I'm Sera, and I'm from Televu. I'm 36, and I'm a project officer with House of Sera.
Yes.
It's not my house, but it's an organization, a non-government organization, and which is also faith-based.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, and they do amazing work. Really love them. So, Amelia, you have been on a journey of healing, haven't you? Which is fantastic. And still on that, I don't think we ever fully heal because there's always new things that come at us each year as well. But you had a significant event happen to you as a young girl. Can you tell us about that?
At the age of 3, I was sexually abused by 3 different people. They would inappropriately touch me. And at the age of 9, I lost my innocence to someone in the position of child in my family.
It's huge.
Yes.
So big traumas as a young girl. You wouldn't have known anything about healing. Were you able to tell anyone at the time?
I think it took me 10 years to open up to my childhood best friend about it.
10 years. So for 10 years you just suffered silently.
Yes. Kind of like I became very rebellious. I was just ashamed, at the same time guilty, and I was very rebellious towards my mother. I felt like I was never good enough to her in comparison to my siblings. I moved out from home, and then when my parents' relationship deteriorated, like it really has that impact on me. And then there grows my mistrust for men. Like I don't really trust men that easily. To me, like all men are the same.
You were suicidal too at one time?
Yes, I was suicidal. Like I tried to commit suicide a few times during my high school years, but never succeeded.
The Lord.
Yes, thank the Lord, I'm still here.
Yeah, and it also led you down a path with boyfriends as well, you know.
When I finished my postgraduate diploma, that's when I started dating. I never really dated in my high school and my uni years because the aim is to graduate. Like I was driven by bitterness to succeed, and then I've always told myself I will only date once. And then when I did date, never really had that closure, and then it goes on to a cycle of toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And at the same time too, I was struggling with pornography.
Huge. Isn't it amazing that, these events at a young age, if we don't get healing, it just dominoes effect, really, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's like it's an open door for the enemy to get in many different ways. What made you 10 years later open up to your friend and tell them?
I just needed someone to know about it. Like, I remember we were walking from school, and then I opened up, like, it felt like something just dropped, like a heavy burden. But she does not really have the capacity to help me in my religion.
How old was she?
She was 2 years older than me.
So 19, 21, in her 20s.
At the time, I was still, like, I was very young.
Okay.
And then I opened up about it again when I came to uni.
Yeah.
That's when I met Sera in Samoa. And she really helped me a lot with my healing journey and with Auntie Mary. Like, they come alongside me.
Yes. So telling your friend, she really didn't know what to do with it, but at least it was the first initial cry for help, but then finding your good friend Sera and older people who can journey with you. Yeah, no, that's powerful. What have been some of the keys in your healing?
Some of the keys to my healing is just being real,
Yeah.
being honest and intentional about my healing, and allowing myself to grieve through the process and feel the pain. And another key is having that personal relationship with God. I'm so grateful to Sera for her discipleship. Like, it really allows me to know my identity and my worth as a child of God, and that my past does not define who I am, and really changes my perspective. And the third one was also forgiveness. I think, like, forgiveness is vital in our relationship with God, and so as with others. It does not mean that I agree with what happened to me, but I believe that in order for me to heal, I need to forgive those that abused me in the past.
Yeah. Have your abusers ever come back and apologised? Have they acknowledged?
I think ever since I came public with my abuse, I've never really met them again. Ever since that, I've never met any of them.
Okay, so nothing's ever happened where they've tried to reconcile? No. Would you like that to happen?
I would love to, but I don't think so that they'd be in the position to do that.
Yeah.
I did have an uncle, when he found out about my abuse, he was so sorry that happened. And to me, that was like closure.
Yeah.
Like, it was something that I want
Yeah.
to happen.
And that's powerful when a man comes and stands in the gap on behalf of other men, and just acknowledging that what happened was wrong, wasn't it? When you first heard of Amelia's story, Sera, how did you respond?
I don't remember the exact emotion, but I just sat there and listened. Ah, oh, excuse me.
No,
Um,
it's fine.
really just sitting there and listening. I think I was also at a point where I wanted to be a safe space for someone. So hearing her story, I realized I think it came out of being vulnerable. I was just being vulnerable to everyone that I would sit with. Like, if I was having a bad day and I wanted to punch someone, and so they knew me as that. Sorry, I used that example a lot. But because of that, they knew, like, hey, I can just. So when she shared it, it wasn't. it wasn't it was a burden, not in a way that I couldn't handle it, because I knew when she poured it into me, the Lord was in the conversation, and we just released it back to God while we process. So yeah, I think that was.
Yeah. You've come out publicly. You've shared your story on a number of occasions.
Yes.
Has that been part of the healing journey?
Yes, it is. The first time that I shared it publicly was in Samoa. It was at our student function. I think I was crying in the process of sharing. And then another one was when you invited me to speak at the youth and pastors conference. And I think the more I share it, the more I find healing. That the more I share my story. And then, like, even like in preparation to sharing my stories, like I do find healing in that. And like even encouraging messages with people that she's my story. That see my story. And then they would message me back, and I'm really encouraged by that. Like me opening up about my stories also is helping somebody else to share that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've been involved in our Bella camps, where we might have 50 or 60 teenage girls, and you will share your story, and then we give the girls an opportunity to get into small groups and share their stories. If you had gone to a Bella camp at 12 with carrying what you were carrying, would that have been a space that you may have shared in?
I think so. Like whenever I would sit at the Bella camp, I was like, man, I wish I had this when I was growing up, like a space like this, but never had. But I was like, I'm really encouraged that this generation had that kind of space. I think it would really help me a lot with my healing journey if we have that kind of Bella camp.
And we're finding that these young teenage girls at such a young age have huge stories, don't they?
Yes.
And so now you're being that safe space for them. And with you, Sera, you have started healing retreats,
That's right.
which is another safe space. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, the healing retreat was really birthed out of a season where I sat down a lot with hurt people, and mostly it was from the church, and especially just hearing stories like their stories being shared without their permission, and so I as I was hearing that from different women, different friends, I realized the need to create a space where people will come and speak freely, not feel condemned, and know as well that whatever you bring to the table will be protected unless you give them permission, or unless you're like, just, you know what, it doesn't matter anymore, you are able to share whatever. But that is really where this healing retreat came about, just creating safe spaces for women to heal in a community, because I saw the lack of that when where people, where they were supposed to find healing and a restoration, especially in the church, they instead got more hurt from just sharing their testimonies and just go and read your Bible and things like that and people are not just listening. I think just providing a space to also listen. Yeah, I think that's where this healing retreat came about. Yeah.
It's vital, and I'm all for counselling and psychologists and that one-on-one time. But ultimately, I think we need healing in the community, in the body. If my finger's hurting, I don't chop it off and set it aside for my body, because it's the lifeblood of the rest of the healthy body that should.
Yeah.
Now, if the rest of the body's sick, then I've got a problem. So I love that you are creating a space, and I know some of the people who've come to you are getting counselling as well, but it's a community of women where you go away for a weekend what do you see happen? What are some of the things you've seen happen on these
Ooh,
retreats?
I've seen God meet people. I usually don't do much because I want them to process whatever to share their stories, to rest, to sleep. We've had even just hearing stories such as like sleeping well. Like I've never slept that way in a while. And that goes back to what we've been, what's in our mind and everything that we've been trying to think of in the evenings or even in the day. Uh, I've seen just women take their positions as well and help other women in the community. Like, for example, we've just had even a close friend of mine right now who's just taking on a younger girl and she's discipling and she's, just checking on people to see how they're doing, walking alongside them. Yeah, I think that's the friendships that they have forged, which is really important to me. Has been something that I've seen over this, strangers coming in, identifying with their different stories and coming alongside each other and say like, how can we help to check in? And I don't limit a person to just one retreat. If they think that they want to come to the next one, fine, let's do it. And I've seen progress as well. And they're working on themselves, like not just like how you just mentioned, counseling and things like that. And that's so important as well, but also community, because we are a communal culture as well. Yeah.
And I had the honor of being on one of your healing retreats, and we went to the circus, which was fantastic because that's healing. Because we laughed
Yes.
our heads off.
Yes. Yes.
Which laughter is healing. Sleeping is healing. We think healing's got to be some
Yeah.
big spiritual prayer time or something.
Yeah.
God's in all of it, isn't he?
And people are surprised as well
Yes.
because they will always ask me for a program. I'm like, you need to attend it to know, and not. I can see a blueprint now, but I just realized not all the retreats have been almost different.
Yes.
And it's just being sensitive to what the women are bringing to the table. See, for example, the circus. I didn't realize that when we had that session that evening, people would refer to the circus. And I had mentioned it to a friend that week. I'm like, the Lord can use unlikely circumstances to encounter people. So, yeah.
So, Amelia, you've been on these healing retreats. What's been your highlight?
I think I've been to 2 healing retreats. One was the first one at Wednesday. The second one was at Nakasi University. I really love the healing retreat, like resting, and I think one of the things that I identified when I was at the healing retreat in Nakasi was like it comes as a dream. Like I was praying, what do I need to heal from? And then I was praying that I was still angry. I'm still very much angry with the person that abused me. Like, and I thought I was like, Lord, I've walked on that. I've forgiven that person. But then when the Lord brought that up, like I'm aware of it and work towards that. Like I was like, yes, I really need to forgive. And at the same time, meeting new girls too, and just being able to share, like, because we have prayer partners too. And I think like usually when we have prayer partners like that, like usually our stories would be somewhat similar, and then we would really, and even our cooking partners like that, like, and then we would share like all part of the cooking process like that, like we'd be sharing stories and really just encouraging one another and having that accountability group of women too. I think that's something I love about the healing retreat, like being accountable and being real with one another and being intentional.
What would you say are barriers to people finding healing, Sarah?
I think the biggest barrier is us. I think just thinking of, especially women, we do have somewhat an ego as well. Like there is a pride in us to because we feel powerful when we are holding on to our hurts, and we're like, and releasing it might, they're scared to release it because they think that they will not feel any powerful. But I think just really, I was thinking of it. I think one of the biggest barriers is us, and not having the space to do it in, not having access to that. To sit down with someone and be intentional with them and know that they'll just listen and not try and fix your problem, but really ask the right questions, though, not just the right questions, powerful questions, to be able to identify what they're going through. I think those are probably the two main ones that I thought of. I was just thinking of it, and today it's usually us and saying, I need this.
Yeah.
And sometimes because we are unaware as well, and I don't know if I need this, and not having that space to be intentional, to be accountable, and just to be you and not feel judged and condemned when you start sharing your story.
Yeah, fear can be a real issue. What are they going to think of me?
Yeah.
Because quite often we think we're the only one who's dealing with this issue, or the only one woman watching porn. There's so many.
Yeah.
So no, that's amazing. How can we help? Like you've come alongside Amelia. How can the everyday person help each other heal?
Man, just by listening. A lot of times someone starts talking and you already have preconceived ideas. Listening is not really you wanting to answer everything. You're already just by paying attention with your words, with your actions when someone is talking, little things like that. When you're across the table from someone and they want to share something with you, like I know when someone is listening when they ask me the right questions, and when they remind me again of something that I've mentioned to them. So it's really being that. And a lot of times we might think like, oh, I don't have the capacity to do this, but sometimes just sit there. Just sit there and in the muck with them. I think a lot of times when people bring up these stories, stepping out, you had mentioned fear as one of the, and how have I forgotten that? But them stepping out like that's a lot. And so if one person, even in church, when they come in and they sit there and they just, maybe don't look like you, and they have a story, like listening with our eyes as well, and really welcoming them, embracing them as they walk into the doors of our church.
So important, listening.
Yeah.
And acknowledging and believing. Look, there's so much we could continue to unpack, but time has gone and you've got to get off to a meeting. But thank you, ladies. Amelia, you've been a source of inspiration to me, just the way you've embraced healing. You've run after it. You've gone after it. You've been bold in sharing, and then giving out as well. And then also you, Sera, just an ordinary woman who's got a passion, and you've done something with that passion with the healing retreats. And I know you're changing generations because of it. So thank you so much. So please seek healing. We need healing. There is no shame in going to a counsellor. And I'm going to put a link to different places where you can get counselling help with this podcast as well. We must heal. It's vital for your life and future generations. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you for having us. See y'all.